My name is Colleen Glennie. I work in Alumni Affairs. I am a 2001 grad of Berklee and was lucky enough to meet Brian during that time. I think, was I your RA also in the dorms?
No, I knew that you were one. I think Guapale was mine.
Okay, nice. Waple. She was doing some great stuff. I'm
Hmm.
sure she still is. Yeah, I was Clay's RA and John's RA back in the day. Um, but Brian was a friend of mine at school and we reconnected a few years ago. And the funny thing is what I love, so I was in the admissions office. I worked in the admissions office at Berklee for 9 years. And I was on the road, like doing recruiting or whatever. And it was like, I think it was Delta. And I was like looking at the Delta magazine. I'm just like looking through it. And then there's this double page spread with Brian's head. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like we had not reconnected at that point. And that's when I first found out about the project that he's doing with the heartbeats and everything. And it was just so inspiring. So I'm just really glad to be able to provide this for you. And thank you for Brian for doing this. So now I'm just going to read his bio. As we go along, feel free to put questions in the Q&A. Kate Beaver, who is one of our assistant professors in the music therapy department, will be leading the Q&A after we watch the documentary. So to move on. So Brian Schreck is a board certified music therapist who has been professionally serving people with wide range of medical illnesses since 2004. Brian received a Bachelor of Arts in Music Therapy from Berklee and a Master of Arts in Music Therapy from New York University. He pioneered music therapy services at St. Vincent's Catholic Hospital Medical Center in Manhattan, Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, and the Norton Cancer Institute in Louisville, Kentucky. Mr. Schreck has a passion for palliative care and for supporting patients and their families through the end of life and into bereavement. He uses the sounds of a patient's life to create innovative and individualized recordings and projects. Specific techniques include using stethoscopes and microphones to capture internal sounds to connect with the external world through ongoing clinical and therapeutic support. Brian strives to improve the quality of life for every patient and family through the ongoing use of music therapy. So, before we start the documentary, Brian, do you just want to say a few words?
Sure, Colleen, I'm delighted to be here. This is an honor for me to celebrate this work with the Berklee community. I think it was we showed this first back in February of 2020, so almost exactly 4 years ago. And then this is a serendipitous just time of the year because this is about when I started this work with the heartbeats about 10 years ago, exactly in 2014. So this is a lovely celebration, and I'm honored for you to invite this arrangement and this viewing.
Awesome.
One quick thing to keep in mind before we watch it: this film celebrates two patients in their journey with cancer. Each individual had an intentional reason for doing this work. The first gentleman you'll meet, named Gary, did it as a wedding present or an anniversary present to his partner. That doesn't really come across as obvious when you're watching it. And then the other one, Tim, is working on something to be showed at his funeral. So pretty heavy things, but important things, and having a lot of time to spend thinking about it, as well as just working on it a little bit at a time, which is what therapy is. It's not all at once, and it's just a little bit at a time. Hello. Sorry, we come in. Look at you. What's up?
Colleen,
Come on in.
When I first got in here, I was a wreck. And when he walked in, man, it was like, wow. Somebody came back.
You're
Brought
back.
the music back, baby. When I first came here, I just sit here and I thought, man, I'm just gonna sit here in this damn bed with this stuff dripping in my arm and just waiting. I didn't even think about it. Then you started playing and I sat there and I started crying. And I said, man, that's what's happened. I have forgotten about my love of music. And I immediately told Tim, I said, bring me my laptop, bring me all my little hard drives. And it made the time go by so much better.
Good.
It just brought everything together.
How long have you been doing karaoke down there?
4.5 years now. We got written up in the Louisville Magazine last year, I think it was. It's kind of cool. Some chick came in and we didn't know anything about him. I just did our regular fun night of karaoke. Next thing you know, we were written up all about how fun we were doing. Hole in the wall bar, everybody likes to hang out and have a good time. You don't know me by now. Put the words up here. I want you to sing with me.
All right. It's the first time I've done karaoke in a room like this.
These drugs make me crazy, make me see you more clearly. Baby, now I see you. Kidneys don't want to work right. Want to slap my face out now. This cancer's about to put me through. But I'm alive. See, just make them up.
I love it. Say I'm alive. Yeah.
Let the girls sing. That's gonna cost y'all. I'm sorry. Live performance. Teddy Bears, 4th and Garden, Louisville, Kentucky. Come on down Wednesday night, 10 to 2. Hang out with the bad boys at karaoke when we get back. I kind of like Firefly's little. Remember the one you had the last time? The ocean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mini little. Thank you
Woo!
very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Elvis would have left the building buddies tied down. He tied to R2-D2.
Oh, man.
Feels good to open my eyes today. You know, if you can open your eyes in the morning, you're doing good. And my motto is, you can't control how many days is in your life, but you can control the life in your days. And I'm living large today. I'm soaking it all in. It's great to be out here. People should get outdoors more often and enjoy nature and fresh air and crowds.
No, I've worked on your, well, we've been working on a little bit.
Yeah.
And I had another idea to see if you're up for it.
Sure.
So right at this part, you know, I noticed this little microphone was right here. So I know that we talked a little bit about, you know, just people reading the poem as it's going. Some people, depending on where it is in the church or wherever it's going to be might not be able to read it just from where they're sitting. So I was wondering what your thoughts were about reading it. So it was just an idea. I just pressed this and started doing myself just to give it a test. Hard work. Each day is born with the sunrise and ends with the sunset. But it'd be cooler if it was you, not me, if you're up to it. But don't feel any pressure to. It was just an idea.
Well, that is a good idea. I'll think it over.
Okay. If you wanted to read that, and then the only other thing that we need to do is just pick out transitions in between them, one that you like, so it can be kind of consistent throughout.
Maybe just fade in and fade out.
Okay.
Sometimes less is more. I just love sunrises. I think it's more meaningful than sunsets. I've got some good shots of sunups, and he's gonna make a presentation. And at my funeral, they're gonna play it. You know how they got a TV going now in funerals and show pictures, and so I don't know how I'm gonna give it to my daughter. Somehow.
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Don't worry
And let him watch it. The drummer is my heartbeat.
Yeah, but you're at the bottom of all of it.
I wasn't even aware of this song until I got this cancer, and I don't know how I found it in YouTube, he's searching. I've always loved Chet Atkins, and found this song called Sunrise, and a beautiful, happy little song. And so I got with Brian, and he can play the guitar real good, and he made his own sunrise, and put it with my sunrise pictures, fade it in and out. And hopefully that's gonna be a surprise for my family when they see it. You don't cry because you know you're gonna die. You just cry at all the beautiful things. It's hard to explain that you're gonna miss. And that's what you think about. And happiness. Lots of times, I get shook up. Just be happy. See my grandkids, and you look at other people, and they're just carrying on their days. Because I used to be like that. Because you think you're gonna live forever, and you don't soak up the good things. When you know something like this, is when you got cancer and you looking at your kids or little granddaughter, you look at them a whole lot longer. And you just love, you just soak it up.
Today we live large. Tonight we're gonna party large.
It started back in Cincinnati. I was working in 3 different intensive care units, all of which had various ranges of ages from premature babies all the way to in their late 30s. All kinds of different sorts of trauma, but a lot of the people I was serving were intubated and sedated. Here we are.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
Hi. And
You're on camera.
we thought it was fine, and we
EJ, buddy.
Doing great. We're twins. So with the live music that I would create with the families, it was kind of one direction it was going. I knew it was going into their ears and into their brains, but it was hard after, a few years to see what was happening exactly. And I think it's in that good place of sort of plateauing and feeling not necessarily bored, but I think it's in that sort of dry space that you can have a fertile idea. We were talking about the last time about recording your heartbeat. We'll record your heartbeat, and do you want me to play that song and have it ready for Tim tomorrow?
I don't care. That's cool.
Is that a song, or is there another song?
That was cool.
That's super. So I can get that ready, and then we can record it.
How do you do the heartbeat then?
I got this little microphone that
real?
Yeah, it'll just take a second.
So what do you do? Just speed me up or hard line?
However
Speed
you
me
are.
up?
You're going to be the foundation of it, my man. Being in intensive care, there's monitors all over the place, so the heart is kind of right here in your face. And it was just kind of a light bulb.
Shut up.
Can you believe? Look, I put this little gadget together. It's the very early prototype. We're going to get better and better. I discovered simply you could place a microphone inside of a stethoscope. The heartbeat, we can record just a short amount of time and create something that is the rhythmic metronome of anything that we want to make out of it. A composition, a piece of music, but their heartbeat is the basic container of rhythm for the song. So we're just gonna put it, you can hold it right? Yeah, right there. Now it's gonna pick up a little bit of your IV pull over there, but that's okay.
Should I run?
No, it's perfect.
And that's me.
That's you, my man.
Damn, I look healthy.
I'm gonna take that healthy beat and make something cool out of it. So I'll mess with that, and then I'll put together a little something.
Cool.
And then I'll sort of outline the melody of that, but it would be awesome if we could record you and your beautiful voice singing those words.
I don't know.
Tomorrow.
That's
We'll
all
do
on
that.
my face, that's great.
We'll do that tomorrow. And then we'll have it ready for Tim.
Or you could also do
Yeah, what do you
Bob
think?
Dylan's "To Make You Feel My Love." That's a good one too.
Okay. Make You Feel My Love, Bob Dylan.
When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love.
Second verse. Evening shadows. When I'm recording with them, I'm feeling this feeling of life at the center of all of it. That can be, once we have it, it's there forever. It's not going anywhere.
I'd go hungry, I'd go black and blue. I'd go crawling down the avenue. There's nothing that I wouldn't do
It's true.
to make you feel my love. Make you feel my love. It's
You
amazing.
You did
Hit
it.
my heart in the back.
I loved it.
That is not at all what I was expecting it to sound like. That is wicked.
Let's hear you a little
I'd
bit.
like to do this over a rock song one time.
Ooh, we can do that too.
Bam, bam, bam. A little Metallica.
Heck yeah.
That'd be wicked.
My boss at the time loved that I was doing this and called up marketing, who makes internal videos. Really considering the heartbeat as the most beautiful sound that I think is possible. And when I'm thinking of rhythm, it's our basic beats. So me using that as our foundation to create something that could preserve the humanity of a situation has been a focus of mine. And the video that we shot was beautiful, and it was probably 2 minutes long, and it swam around the internet.
You have to go through the processes and all of the emotions that go along with it, and music is a good guide to help you through that. It is for me.
I remember my cousin calling me and saying, "Brian, I think this might be going viral." He's like, "I looked at it earlier and there was like 10,000 views, and I checked on it, a day later and there was 60,000 views, and then I think up to now it's almost like at 200,000 views." It was all over the place, and I was getting calls from people, other music therapists here in the United States, music therapists internationally, families internationally that had ideas and had pieces of recordings that they wanted me to work with. It started a small movement.
Bridget Sova uses her stethoscope. Yeah. But instead of listening to young patients' heartbeats, she's recording them.
The work that we started back then is transformed into something that is being offered in many hospitals all over the world. With babies, it's super easy because it's,
right there,
right below where you're doing.
Brian is the man behind the very emotional music. Brian, thank you so much for being with us.
I feel like the producer or the executive producer behind the scenes of directing this experience, but it is not about me. It is 100% about them. This can be like a musical prayer for them.
I might try to add my voice to that, read that poem.
No, you're fine. Come on in.
I'll be back in a little bit shortly.
You're gonna bring me good news, aren't you?
Your blood counts are a little low for treatment today. You're a little neutropenic, so by giving you chemo, they'll just drop those counts lower and put you at a higher risk for infection. So
Okay.
we won't be able to do the treatment today.
All
I
right.
mean, we ran into this before.
What else could it be unless it's spread?
Sometimes it's unpredictable. I mean, we would expect it to be the cancer growing somewhere, by that biological marker, but we can't always be certain. And on the PET scan, we'll look at your other organs, and it uses that radioactive sugar to help pick up cancerous cells a little bit better than just the CT scan does, where it sees the dimensions of things a little bit more clearly.
Where else does this pancreatic cancer spread?
Usually we see it confined to the liver.
Yeah.
Okay. But the PET scan will help us see if it's went anywhere else. I mean, it's sometimes unpredictable.
Alrighty. Well, okay.
So yeah, I'll let Amy know. I know she was anxious to know if we were going to be able to treat you today. So we'll be able to get you unhooked, and you guys can finish up doing what you are here, and then you'll be able to go whenever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So get that PET scan tomorrow, and then just give us a call, and we'll have Dr. Ham look over that, and one of us to give you a call back and let you know what's going on.
Okay.
All right?
Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Well, anyway. Crank her up.
Let's do it again. From the top.
Okay.
And I can still change those transitions if you don't like how wild they are. It can just be a nice clean. Your slow and steady heart right under there.
I took those pictures.
seeing that one, that was in North Carolina, right?
Yeah, actually South Carolina, just
South
across
Carolina.
the border.
Yeah. Yeah, those are beautiful. A bit of heparin here. All right, worst part.
Heart work. Each day is born with a sunrise and ends in a sunset. The same way we open our eyes to see the light and close them to hear the dark. We have no control over how your story begins or ends. But by now you should know that all things have an ending. Every spark returns to darkness. Every sound returns to silence. Every flower returns to sleep with the earth. The journey of the sun and moon is predictable, but your journey is your ultimate art. It's great.
You okay with it?
Yeah. It's great.
Good work.
Oh, you did it.
No, all I did was put it together on this little program.
Oh, you did.
That's it.
Now I'm going to pick a funeral home to go 60-inch screen.
Working with people that are very, very sick, that inevitably all of us are going to die one day. There's always kind of a buoyancy of sort of admiration just of being alive.
We're at I think a turning point. I mean, we either continue to try something else or we stop. But how hard it is to leave somebody.
It is hard.
But I don't have any choice. So we're doing things that make us happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to live until you die.
I feel often that I get paid to fall in love with people. And sitting there with them, I've learned over the last 12 years that being afraid of anything is a disservice to everyone.
I can't really break down at home. But when I'm here with Brian, once Mom leaves, I know that I can just open up, and I can be real with him. Because I feel like my family is like in denial. And Brian's not. He's not. Like, he gets it. And so it means a lot that it's somebody you can be 100% with,
Could you bring that down, the white part?
Mm-hmm.
So that would look like it's part of that?
Sure.
Okay.
You want this down?
Yeah, so you can, a little bit.
soft
If you
is it?
can, it's no big thing, if you can. When they told me I had a mass in my pancreas, and then when they left, of course, me and my wife looked at one another and like, wow, this is it. And I was just glad it was me instead of her. But she scooted her chair up to my bed. And we just cupped each other's faces and stared into our eyes. To just remember what they look like. because we knew there'd be a day we want to see our eyes. And I don't know. I am a Christian and I do believe in God. But I don't know what's ahead of me. But whatever it is, I know I'll be thinking of my family.
Every day feels pretty awful. Most people are having maybe their worst day of their life so far, or it's worse than yesterday, or they just know that things are terrible. And if joy can be injected into that scene, if I can get someone to laugh and smile a little bit, even just once, to me, everything was worth it.
I just felt like, you know what? Everything was so consuming, just overwhelming. And you made me realize it was music. And it brought it all back together. And everybody should know that one. I got a song for you before you leave.
All right, let's end on one.
Anybody know David Crosby? This album got me through some times that I didn't think I would ever get through. Everybody's saying that music is love. Everybody's saying it's love. Everybody's saying that music is love. Everyone's saying it's it is love. Simple. To the point.
That's what it's about. I believe that families truly do love having this.
That's the song we played as we carried Mom out from the church. It was his song, his heartbeat song. That magical leprechaun that created something that we can share for the rest of our lives. So,
having his heartbeat is like when I used to lay on his chest in the bed, getting ready to go to sleep and stuff. I could listen to his heartbeat then, but now with his heartbeat on the song, I can play it as I go to bed, so I can hear it. So it helps me sleep at night.
You invented this.
Very much.
You did. These things that we've just been exposed to our whole life don't exactly have to be the way that they are. Music therapy, palliative care, end-of-life care, hospice, all of these parts working together in a way that we could really change what dying looks like. It can be out of the hospital. What a funeral looks like, it can be completely unique to the individual. And I really do believe that I want to impact that in a real way. You can still have joy even when you're experiencing grief. You can still laugh out loud. You can still play your heart out. And to me, it could feel like a celebration as opposed to a funeral.
Very good, my friend. Very good.
I came to love the music before I came to be. To know the music before it came to me. A long, long time ago. I don't know when. We sang a song along with the wind. And there's so many things I don't believe I'll understand. Why the days turn into weeks, turn into months, and the years become a moment in the ever-changing sand. Yes, God made time to keep it all from happening at once, all at once.
Hey, who needs to go get a tissue? Woo! Brian, that's just amazing.
What did he call you? A magical leprechaun?
It's true. It's why I wore my green sweater tonight too. And man, I'm realizing back in 2017, I was wearing some bow ties. I need to bring that back.
You're always the king of bow ties.
And great socks as well.
Sucks.
So you probably read Kathleen's question in the chat, and I feel like it kind of brings up a question a lot of people ask about this, which is, and about music therapy in general, is about that initial introduction. And I find with heartbeat recordings, sometimes we're going into a room of somebody that we've worked with a lot or for a long time, and sometimes it's in like the ICU in an emergency situation. So how do you introduce, and does it look different in different situations?
Yeah, I think it's always different. I think that the earlier we can offer this just as a normal part of your therapy, just as a way to create, as a way to songwrite, as a way to, really celebrate their individuality. With adults, specifically in this setting, a lot of them are resistant to music making, unless they are like Gary and like singing karaoke, or they are like Tim and they love listening to music. But I really do believe that this could be an interesting way to use their own body to create something. And we don't have to go too far down the road at the beginning of why we're doing it, maybe even. And as time develops and changes, whether you get good or better or worse, it becomes something different. But yeah, I think there is a lot of stuff in the intensive care unit where we want to keep offering people things, even when everything is grim. And we have come into a little bit of trouble every now and then with someone promising something for us to do without very much explanation by the therapist and or with the family at all. So I always like to very much have as many candid conversations with them, as well as identifying if this is something that is going to be beneficial for them, which it very well may not be. And one of my little papers I've done recently, just to see what the life cycle was really of how much people are listening to these recordings, because I think a lot of music therapists could spend a great deal of time on them. So if it's not clinically useful, or if we're not checking in a therapeutic setting afterwards, it then is kind of just like a gift versus something that is worked on with the person, with the intended listener, with as much input in them, as possible from them. So then it's their recording. We're just putting it together. Now, I have taught child life specialists how to record just heartbeats. And to me, that is its own memory making tool that could be useful on its own. That has nothing to do with music and music therapy. So to me, I would invite people to not promise families things. It's not a made to order sandwich, I guess, is what I'm getting to the bottom of.
Well said. Kathleen, do you want to jump in? And I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. And really, thank you, Brian. Just so beautiful, so deeply meaningful. And, frankly, I've been in the profession for a good while now and really seen this kind of an apex, but I've known that work of just walking in and essentially trying to figure out how to say, you want to have some music, and the awkwardness. And I would like to live long enough for music therapists doing this work to have physicians referring it. So people have this sense of the gravitas. And my physician referred it. In fact, this came with my diagnosis and my prognosis. I think there's a way, and as a cancer patient myself, to reimagine the whole beginning of it, no matter how the ending goes. Like right away, there are things that you can do tonight to support the best outcomes. And here's the plan, So I'd like to live long enough that there are MD referrals and nursing referrals that bring their authority into that and smooth the way, because we should be working, just getting right into the music and the possibilities. And I really admire you thinking about the life cycle of the songs. Like, what is its shelf life? Does it really get shelved, or does it continue to have that kind of efficacy, which would be incredibly important for the time that you put into the technology as well as developing it? And I just have to say, Brian, I'm just so proud to know you, and thank you for this work.
I feel the same way about you, Kathleen. It's true.
Quick question about the editing process. So if you are in an ICU, you might pick up a lot of extra sounds or like lung noises. Do you spend a lot of time editing, and do you bill for that? Do you do it at the hospital? How does that all work?
So up to this point, it was just a part of my gig, is the way that I looked at it. It was a part of our therapy. So in inpatient and outpatient music therapy at the Norton Cancer Institute, it was not billable. The patients did not have a charge for it in any way. So I just kind of lumped it under my umbrella of things that I offer people when it was appropriate. To me, there's no two heartbeat recordings that were the same. But I really do believe that I want it to be known in this work for people to do a little bit at a time, over time, because it's in that therapeutic process, and not to spend too much worry about it being perfect sonically. Aesthetically, we always want it to be as gorgeous as possible from our ability, but we don't want to get lost in the weeds on it. And I really do believe that music therapy is messy, and that it's okay, and it can get better over time, which I've noticed in a lot of the recordings that I've, re-listened to from even 10 years ago. They've gotten better just because equipment has gotten better. But yeah, I try not to spend too much time.
Fair.
And if you are, you might as well do it with the patient to get their preference on how it sounds best to them, because that's what really matters.
Raymond has his hand raised.
First of all, the presentation was amazing. That was really touching and beautiful to see the different ways you can create a song and how many people it can impact, outside of just the patient and like their immediate families. But it was just really inspiring to watch. I also just was curious about how you managed to help patients, whether with this particular style or something else, who are in denial, whether it's of like death or their disease or just kind of the general scope of what's happening. How can you help them kind of come to terms or accept it?
I think it comes over time. You're not going to jump right into this immediately. So like, for instance, with Gary, we worked for about 2 years together, and same with Tim. So that was over a span of 2 years. And if you're a good therapist, you listen a lot, and you can find good places to interject a meaningful question like, well, what does that feel like for you today? What are your thoughts about tomorrow? Again, it's that fearlessness that you develop over time in a way that it's obvious that this person knows that you're not afraid of them. You're not grossed out by them. You're not thinking that their diagnosis is all that they are. And it's around those kind of comforts in the discomfort that you then develop a relationship where they do feel comfortable to share thoughts about their ending, if we even get that far. But it's a lot of people realize things that they don't want to talk about as well, and that's fine. So it's always kind of being careful. But I like to think of it in this last paper that I wrote with Claire Getty and one of our active patients. It was actually from that Cincinnati Children's video, and it was over the span of a year we worked on this piece of music. and it really outlined and brought insight into his experience with almost complicated grief. But it shows that over time, this is why it was important. It wasn't just a one-time thing. The important part was the therapy. The song was the vehicle to move. But a metaphor that he brought up was like he was feeling when I first met him, like he was tossed into the middle of the rough ocean with no land in sight, nothing good looking ahead. And he said it felt like music therapy was someone that was jumping in the water with him and just saying, I'm going to witness this with you. I'm here with you. And then I will figure out with you how we are going to figure some of this out, including some of those difficult conversations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're getting a lot of bravos. Thank yous.
Yay. I
Any
mean,
other-
my 20th year of doing this, so I feel pretty proud of that,
Yeah.
which is unbelievable, really.
Does anyone have any other questions? Do you have a question?
I'd love to bring it back to to the general thing and have you just talk a little bit about your time at Berklee. Tell us about your Berklee story and like, you know, what you did right after you graduated and all that.
Do you want to do Pete first before we go back
Yeah,
and
mine
Yeah,
is more
do that.
general. So yeah, let's do the serious questions first.
This is very serious. Thanks so much for your work, and nice to see everybody. I was just wondering, I work at MJHS, which is a hospice. I do hospice work with music therapy, and we want to try to get. I think we got some stethoscopes, and some people did a training. But I'm wondering, how can people do your training? Like, what is the latest way that logistically all the logistics can work out so that we can start doing this?
That's a good question. I'm teaching a class right now at the University of the Pacific with Eric Walden, which is kind of, I'm deep diving back into all of this work and thinking about it in a different way. But I would say, excuse me, I would say that it's things like this, and even you know, off the record communication with all of us music therapists so that we can support each other through this. But yeah, I'm an open book, Pete. If you have any questions, you can always email me and I'd be happy to talk to you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
You got it. Yeah, we're all in this together. It's not a secret. The cat's out of the bag. And they're running wild. But real quickly about Berklee, I loved every second of it. I kind of had my eyeballs on music therapy from the very beginning. I love people. I think I took one semester of film scoring, intro to film scoring, and I liked how music, you know, emotionally impacts things like a visual, you know, motion picture. But I was alone the whole time in that little room, and I was like, I need to be with people. I get fueled by being with people, so I felt like it was just a natural path. And then I met with Karen Wax and Suzanne Hanser and Peggy Cotting, and closer to the end, Kimberly Kerr was a part of the crew. But it was a small scene, Julie Ziggo. So after Berklee, I got to work for a year with Julie Ziggo at the Kennedy Day School at the Franciscan Children's Hospital as a teacher's assistant, which really was a lot of feeding, diaper changing. Kind of, to me, it was like a PhD in life. You know, I'm the youngest that had never changed a diaper, and I was 21 or 2, and the people in my class were 19, so we all looked about the same. And there's 5 of them, and we would do everything 3 times a day, and it just really enlightened my gratitude for living, for finding beauty, for feeling alive. And then kind of pushing the envelope too. And we did a Grease with some wheelchair choreography with my friend Bree Grieg and my friend Mark Kelly. And then some of the Wally's crew came to the where I moonlighted, which was the Kennedy Hope Academy. And it was, I think, 5 to 18-year-olds. There's about 10 of them that it was mostly a kind of acute but residential place for adolescents with psychiatric issues of any sort. And we did a live kind of like each got to pick a song, and the Wally's crew did a live version of it with them. And it was really the only time where we had the whole unit in one place at the same time, because I think people are they couldn't believe that the drums were there and that it was so loud and it was so funky and amazing. And then I think they were nervous to perform in front of their parents. So it kept everyone on task, and it was beautiful. So little things like that bringing all of our friends. And over the years, I've had, no problem asking some of our friends that I made along the way at Berklee if they would help me figure out how to get a certain artist to call or talk to a patient that I was working. So to me, that's always been a really beautiful, beautiful relationship and community. So I've always felt very supported. The people that I know, I wouldn't have known if I hadn't have gone here. And they are like a family. There's a chain of us that talks about once a week still.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you
Sure.
ever do this with people with dementia who can't really make that decision whether they want this done or participate in their own process? Or do you primarily go with families at that point? Or
Yeah, I would get consent from the family or whoever their next of kin is. And then if they're the intended listener of this project, to me, this is a beautiful way to connect with love, with that sound that is a symbol of love, that is never going anywhere, that is always going to connect you and be useful. And I feel like for anyone that is nonverbal, this could be a useful intervention, even if just simply as a different sound for them to say, I love you, and to honor their life and show that I am still here, I am still important, and I'm still beautiful, even though everything's challenging and seems upside down.
love that. Thank you.
Yes. But yeah, we always need consent.
I have a student here with a question. Yeah, of course. One sec.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, thank you for sharing this. And this is like awesome, like case study slash stories. And I have a question. It's kind of cliche. It's how to maintain like your work-life balance and how to like prepare in your mind about like going to a session or kind of terminate the session without really preparing for it, because it's might be like an unexpected situation or like interruptions or something like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes with experience over time. You do kind of get used to the potential possibilities that can happen within a medical environment, good or bad. So, there's many times where I've come in the next day and that person had passed away overnight. To me, then it's still just as important to have that relationship with the family. If there's some unfinished business, for instance, one of these recordings, that would be a nice way to reach out if one has time. I know a lot of people don't have time for bereavement support, and that it's a tall ask, but I was doing it in one aspect of my job anyway. So I just sort of blanketly offered it to people that I thought needed a little extra help through my assessment with them. Now, not all of them engaged in it, and that was fine. But to me, it was always better to offer. It's always better to record and never listen to it than to want it one day and not have it. I think boundaries is a good question, because it even came up in this paper that I wrote with Claire Getty of why did I work with this gentleman for a year after his son had died in the hospital? And to kind of answer my own question, it's really because I wanted to, and I thought that it was needed. And I think it's part of us as artists, and we do have a responsibility in any medical or place that we're working in to push the envelope, to show them that we do have ideas, that they are very important to the people that we're serving, and there's a reason that we're doing it. And it might not always make the most sense. And it's also good to go see your own therapist as well. Because maybe I shouldn't have offered that to this guy for a whole year. And it helped me reframe that as I'm going through this and learning through it as I go as well, because that's how we do things. I think that it is important to always check yourself of why are you doing this? would you do this with everyone? Is this something that is, I'm getting a weird countertransference with this guy that I feel like I need to help him more than, but it ended up being a very organic, normal thing. And I didn't spend too much time on it. And I don't feel like I did a bad job with my boundaries, but it was very important for me to check why. Why am I doing this?
Thank you.
And it's good to go for a swim every now and then. I'm not a very good, I wish I was more physically active. I should walk and exercise more, but sometimes I'd rather just go jam with my buddies and have some beers and then be exhausted the next day.
I do feel like you've opened sort of a can of worms with this as more people hear about it and as some of us have done it. Because I do get a ton of referrals from doctors and nurses and psychiatrists. And sometimes they're not appropriate. It's like, oh, can you come in this room where this person is actively dying and make a song? And, that sort of lack of understanding. So I wonder if you have advice on kind of dealing with too many referrals or like educating medical staff about what this is really for.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. It's having those frank conversations with these people. If you do get a slew of inappropriate referrals, if you are only getting things, 20 minutes before they're compassionately extubating, it should never feel like a bomb is about to go off and that there's a urgency. It should be something that is a peaceful moment, hopefully designed around the rest of your music therapy that you're offering. So to me, it's always okay for us to stand up to these folks. And I think the more confidence we have and the more clinical experience we have, we feel more okay to approach, a nurse practitioner or a doctor that's the head of intensive care and say, hey, this is not, I would never offer pain medicine for you to give them. I would never offer a gas card from a social worker without speaking with them first. So this is just the same thing. I don't want you to not have this thought and to be turned off by this conversation, but I do want you to, when you think about it, instead of saying something to the parent or the person that's there awake, just call me and then I'll go check it out. And it might be good and it might not. And that's okay. It's okay too. But yeah, it's hard. But yeah, I think crucial conversations are always the most, and we're used to advocating just for our field. We can advocate for ourselves when things are getting out of hand because it can be like a shiny new toy. And it's not meant, like I said, to be a DoorDash.
Any other questions? Thank you so much for being here and sharing with everyone.
Oh, it is an honor. And I think that everyone is important and beautiful. And I think that this work can celebrate every single person that we want to work with, including as something that you could give to someone that you love as a musician. And I feel like the more comfortable you are doing this work, the more you'll actually do it with real people outside of this.
So you mentioned it was okay if people email you. Can I share your email
Sure.
with everyone? Thank you again, Brian. This was just so awesome and you're so inspiring. And I know I'm not the only one that feels like I'm a better person for knowing you. So
Well, I feel the same way about you all. And it's so glad that so many people came tonight. Kathleen, it's always amazing seeing you. Hollywood was one of my roommates. Boston, I forgot to mention. And I've always loved Holly. And yeah, I love my Berklee family. So thanks for having me, Colleen.
No problem. Awesome. Thank you all for coming. Have a good night and feel better, Brian.
Thank you. You helped distract my symptoms. So thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.